Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Nothing?
Hello? Hello? Um, is Bill here? Hello? Is this working? Is this working? Is this not working? No. Oh, hand mic here. Maybe it's this. Is this it? Hello? Hello? Well, it was off, but now it's still not working. Hello? Oh, so it needs to be.
Testing one. Testing.
It is working? Okay. All right, I'm told that this is working now. Doesn't sound like it, but it's. So just hold it close to your mouth.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but yeah, I guess we got a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sounds great. Thank you for every one of you for sticking by us for the in this wonderful day outside. No, it's nice that we get a little fall rain. You gotta look at the positive on it. No, but just there we go. Now we got some. I don't have to put it right in my face. But we just want to go through a couple of things that we've been working on with council and working with the teams, and update on mortgage, update on lighting, update on a vitality committee that we might be looking at, and also update on nominating committee. But first, if I could ask Lois to come forward and give us an update on the stewardship drive.
Thank you. We've actually gotten a very good response. We had some people go online and complete it there, but we had many people who filled out a form and gave it to us the other Sunday when we were able to bless them. We're still waiting for, I would say, about 8 or so of our regular faith promise givers to respond. And right now we're at about $145,000. It's a little bit less than last year, but like I said, we're still waiting for a couple people to turn theirs in. So we're going to have faith and we're going to be joyful about it.
All right. Thank you, Lois. I appreciate it. Pam, do you want to go ahead and go through yours?
Good morning, everybody. So, I got my trusty notes here. The current loan balance is at $84,426. We have not had to use the line of credit at all yet since we've refinanced. So that is super. That's a big deal. Let's see here. We are in the third quarter right now of the year of the budget, and we're currently at 75% of that budget spent. So if all goes well, we'll stay within our budget for the year. That is super. Let's see, we were able to put $6,000 into the deferred maintenance account, and of that, we spent about $4,000 on new lighting, the parking lot lights, the lights in the little red area, the office. I'm not sure where else they were put, but all of that should save us some good money, especially the parking lot lights. And they're eligible for a rebate, so when that rebate comes in, that will go back into the deferred maintenance account. Let's see what else. I think that's it. Any questions? Yeah.
Okay, the lighting outside was paid for by the Memorial Fund, which Kay and Kathy are in charge of. There was money in the Memorial Fund, and some of the donors wanted it used up, and they were okay with the lighting outside. So the $3,400 for the lighting outside was paid by the Memorial Fund. It did not come out of deferred maintenance. So deferred maintenance still should have most of its money. Lighting downstairs was paid for by the deferred maintenance. Now on the lighting outside, it is estimated that we will save $825 a year by redoing our lighting outside. We still have to do the lighting around the church outside, and that's supposed to save us $145 a year. The lighting downstairs, the bulbs that Todd changed, he's got 80 of them changed now for the classrooms and stuff. 80 fixtures, 160 bulbs. And he put 2 bulbs in where there was 4 bulbs in. They had estimated it to be $11 a light. Well, we're only putting half as many lights in, so maybe it might be even more than that. So we could be talking $500, $600, $700 downstairs too. So, and the lighting up here, we're changing as it burns out because they figured that wasn't a big expense because it's only on Sunday mornings and a few days. So that wasn't a big one, but as it burns out, we'll be changing into LEDs. So this was a big adventure. I think it's going to save us $1,500 a year, hopefully, and I think it's the right move. So. And saving the planet, yes.
I want to add one more thing to that. So this week, some of you may have noticed, so the lights, the new lights are very bright. They are much brighter, especially the ones outside are much, much brighter than what we had before. So I know that we've received in the last week some concerns from the neighbors, from the residential neighbors. What I would ask of all of you, we are open and willing to explore some ways to change this. We did have the electrician come back out just on Monday to reset the dimness. So they're now at the dimmest possible setting. They are still brighter than the lights that we had before. But what I'd encourage all of you to do, even if you don't necessarily live right here in the neighborhood, if you know anyone that is experiencing some concerns, please pass along contact information. Any one of us here on council would love to share, to know. We want to respond to community concerns. And please do let them know, this was about the environment and trying to preserve our resources. And so just make people aware. Spread the love.
Spread the love. I love it. Okay. Anybody have questions about the lighting? Okay. I'm going to give you the...
Hanging light here by the patio, one by the office. The 2 recessed ones there and another recessed one downstairs. I have an estimate for $470. I just don't know if I can give them the go-ahead or not. They'll all be LED converted. Right now, that's all we got left outside for that.
I would say that one will still, all of the outside is going to be covered by the Memorial Fund? Okay. Okay, wonderful. Let's do it. Let's do it. That sounds great. That sounds great. I'm just going to put a quick pun in out there. As I mentioned at service last week, Sue and I are part of the nominating team, and we are inviting anybody who wishes to give a little extra time, maybe even learn a little bit more about what the positions are that are available. There is council seats available for anybody that would like to give, a commitment of 3 years to help with council and give their time and share their gifts on that. We would welcome anybody who would be interested. And then also nominating team. So there's 2 people that we'll be doing this next year about this time, and it really is that short, unless there is a position that needs to be filled throughout the year if something were to happen. So the nominating team would then prepare nominations for the annual meeting, that is usually the last weekend of January. We also need a male and female for the synod representation, and that is usually in the middle of May, right? This last year, it was like the 17th or something like that, I think. Okay, so we would just need 2 that would help represent, and that is a Saturday. Friday and a Saturday? Okay, so keep that in mind. If you want to just do a one-time, that would be fantastic. It doesn't have to be husband and wife, but sometimes it makes it scheduling easier. But then also, audit team. So every year we review the previous year and internally, and we look at the books, making sure that we are in line with what our budget has said and making sure we're appropriating our funds. And so we do have a position open on that team as well. Is there any other nominations that you think that I might have? Yeah, okay, memorial team, I'm gonna write that. Thank you, thank you. So I appreciate that, because that one was not on my radar, so thank you. I'll make sure that I get that in there. Bill, you might. Patience is a virtue? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So it might be a paid position with cookies and treats every month and some fellowship. I love it. Thank you, Phil. That was great. I think I've hit every one of them. So if you pray about it, if it's on your heart, if you want to do a one-time thing, if you want to be part of the nominating committee, maybe you can't do something every month, but that's something that you could do, please, come and talk to Sue or I, and we'll give you more information if you have any.
All right, so just quick update here. I tried to look and see. I don't think they have posted the exact date of the 2025 Synod Assembly and where it's going to be yet. So we'll get that information to you as soon as it's available. They usually make that available by the end of the year, so it should be coming out pretty soon. So now I want to share with you all a little bit about what I have been up to. So in the month of October, I had a number of opportunities for some continuing education and for some training. First of those, there was an online webinar that I watched and attended with a number of our council members. In fact, I believe all of us that are sitting up here, we're all there. And that was a webinar that was offered through Luther Seminary's Faith Lead program on congregations that are becoming smaller and are maybe feeling a little bit stretched too thin, and how you navigate and manage and identify burnout in congregations, and how to, it's called doing more with less, and how do we manage to continue our mission, continue to be fruitful, knowing that we may have to modify and understand the reality of our situation, that we don't have quite the resources, the people resources, the financial resources, the time resources available, but we still have a very important mission to do. So how do we do more with less? So that was the first one. I will say, at the end of that webinar there, I was chatting with these all, and I said, so does anything in this webinar, did you identify with anything here? Did it sound like anything that you saw here at St. Martin's about these symptoms of congregational fatigue and burnout and stress? And I think the answer was a resounding yes. So that was the first one. The second opportunity that I had was to go to the church-wide offices, the mothership, as I call it sometimes, in Chicago. These are the ELCA headquarters. And I joined over 100 other clergy and for a mission developers training conference. And I was in the section, the category on vitality. This is the big, just like in the business world, we have big fancy new buzzwords that we use to describe old concepts, right? They just get new names recycled through, new labels. So this one is vitality, is now what we are calling mission redevelopment. And I was attending in my capacity as I have been asked by the Synod to be part of what they are forming called the Vitality Table. This is a group of, there's 3 pastors, including myself, and then the assistant to the bishop, Reverend Walter Baez. And we are forming a resource panel to be able to help give resources to congregations in our synod that are looking to go through vitality and redevelopment. But of course, the congregation that I first thought of was my own congregation here. And this was a 3-day conference, and there were, I'll just be brutally honest with you, there was, for myself personally, a lot of emotional highs, but a lot of emotional lows. There is hope. The future is not bleak. God's church is not going anywhere. But we are going to have to make changes. And what those changes are, no one knows. This is literally, there are, go into my office, you can see how many books I have on the wall. Not a single person who is writing books today has the answers. There is no script. There is no guideline. There is no guaranteed methodology for how to be church together in the year 2024 and beyond. And this was, before the last election cycle here. So all that is to say, this is uncharted territory, folks. That's terrifying, but it is also liberating. When there's nothing left to lose, there's everything to gain, right? Finally, I also took a continuing education course online through an organization called Dialogue Works. And we were talking about practical tools for congregations, for ministries that are going through times of change and transition. So practical tools, practical strategies, practical things you can do. So I came out of this month of October a little exhausted from all the learning that I did, not going to lie, but also feeling like I have a lot of new knowledge, a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, not going to lie, a lot of stress and worries as well, but that's what it takes to be faithful. And I want to share that with you all because I want to make this abundantly clear. The one thing that I learned, the main takeaway that I learned from all of this is I have not been doing you guys any favors. I really haven't. I have taken on a lot of the work that goes here and out of love and wanting to do this for you. But it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for me. It's not sustainable for you. The one thing that we know for certain, and when I say we, I mean church leadership, the one thing that we know for certain is that in this new age, the changes, the rule book, the manual, it has to come from the people in the pews. It has to come from conversations with the people who are outside of the church walls. It has to come from listening, from prayer, from doing that really, really hard work of being in constant communication, constant listening for what God is doing in the world and what God is calling us to do throwing out all of our preconceived notions of what works and what doesn't work. We have to be vulnerable, and it has to come from lay people. It cannot come from me. So what I want to do, and this is an experiment, if you will, what I want to do is I want to put together a team. This is the first step that we were given at this Vitality Training Conference. I want to put together a team. I'm looking for 3 to 4 people, no more than that. Anything more and it'll get, too cluttered. These 3 to 4 people are going to be leaders of the congregation, because all of you are going to be involved in this, and you have to be involved in it. And we are going to find that team. I've reached out to a couple of folks already, but I would like you guys to tell me who you think would be good on this team as well. And then in January at our congregational meeting, we are going to bless these team leaders and kick off their ministry. And then I am going to do a couple of trainings. Most of the month of February is going to be spent trying to share what I know. The teachings, the learnings, the strategies. It'll be a little bit like a class. And then the team has to take that new knowledge, that new understanding, and decide, okay, where do we go from here? What are the tools, the strategies? What are the trials, the experiments? What are we going to try so that we can look inward, look outward, look to our past, look to our future, and think about what are the changes that we need to make? And I'm talking both internal and external changes. What are the changes that we need to make to continue to live faithfully, to continue to live out what God's mission for us is here in this 21st century, in this changing world? And how do we continue to be vital? Meaning, how do we continue to be relevant and necessary to continue to serve, first and foremost, our community where we are established, where we are planted? So I realize that I'm kind of talking in vague terms. I don't know exactly what this is going to look like, because that's part of it, right? I'm constantly reminded by the scriptures, by the book of Acts especially, which I was just doing with my confirmation students this week. So much of the earliest days of the church were completely unscripted. There was no plan. There was no agenda. There was no guaranteed tools for success. The only things they had were that Jesus told them to go out 2 by 2 in pairs as teams and listen and dwell in their communities. And they had to learn to listen to the Holy Spirit. They had to learn to be willing to go against their own plans and follow God's. And they had to learn to be willing to get a little lost on the way. That's all I know. Well, not all I know. I do know a few other things. I do have some really good stats and some charts and spreadsheets and things that will help you understand the theory about why, if we want to make change out in the world, why, if we want to change our church, help it grow, that change has to first start within ourselves. Because unless you can go out into the world and share with your neighbor why church, why God, why it's important to you, the message is never going to move along. I was thinking through all of this as I was sitting there in these conferences, and I was thinking, it's kind of like the old model of, door-to-door salesmen going around selling a vacuum, right? Imagine some door-to-door salesman comes to you with this vacuum and says, "Oh, I would like you to buy my vacuum." And you say, "Great, why?" You say, "Well, I don't know, I need you to buy this vacuum." That's not very compelling. But if you can tell a real story about why that vacuum made a difference in your life, how it helped you, the exact things that it can do, unless you know by heart that mission and believe in it, you're never going to sell a vacuum. So we have to learn to rethink anew, and it has to come from you. It has to come from the lay people. It cannot come from me. I will be there to be the cheerleader, to be the coach, to help give the tools and the resources, but it has to come from lay people. And if we want to understand where our mission, our vision, what our vitality is going to be in the new year, this is my strategy, this is my plan. So if there are any questions on that, I hope to try to be able to give a little bit more clarity. And if you are interested in joining and participating as part of that team, let me know. And otherwise, that's kind of all I got. Did we want to open up to some questions? Okay.
At that webinar, they brought up all this stuff, and you just could see our church up and down the line. I mean, it was just amazing, how it fit it. And they just said, we got to change. And it's hard. It's hard to believe that things have got to change. But I think that's the only thing that we can do to survive. So, I mean, it's scary. It's a very scary time. And we're full-heartedly, the council's full-heartedly behind Pastor. And we know she's been doing a lot. We're trying to help. But it's got to come from everybody. Just let you know it's out there.
Any other questions? Well, Kathy, I'm going to put you on a mic because it's not about just here. It's going up out online too. Yeah.
Maybe this isn't the time to bring this up, but other small churches like ours are also, in trouble. Let's face it. Haven't we talked in the past about possibly doing something or connecting somehow with these other churches, like maybe West Middleton or I don't know, what others? Or is that not going to help any situation with us? I don't know.
I mean, we're certainly open to it. We've talked about that within council. I've had some conversations. It's easier said than done is the real challenge there. And finding those partnerships or finding like ways that we can work together, it's not, the kind of things that you're talking about, these are things that take years of conversations. Yeah. And I'll say, for example, we had some conversations with St. Luke's. And St. Luke's is still going through some pastoral transitions, and they were not in a place where they wanted to be able to have those conversations, although some of the leadership was open to it. They're waiting until they have called their new pastors. And so it's a waiting game. You have to wait. We have to do that in partnership with the Synod. It's not something that we can just do. There are many, many, many different ways of congregations being able to work alongside other congregations, many different models for how that could look. All of them come with their own pros and cons. But the bottom line is it really doesn't stop. It really doesn't cure the root missional concern, which is reaching out to the people who are here in Cross Plains.
I'd just like to comment, the Catholic Church is kind of going through merging and stuff now, and they've lost a lot of members. A lot of members are not happy with it at all. And so what do? They quit. That's the honest truth of it. I mean, all these small churches, even though they're declining, they all got the same thing as we do. We all love our church, and we don't want our church to close. So it's a hard hard part to go through. And it's the times we're in, but it's hard. There's no easy answers. We've been exploring just about everything we can think of. I mean, it's not like we're not looking at everything. It's been talked about.
I don't know if this is a question anybody knows the answer to, but are the mega churches going through the same thing? You know, churches like Blackhawk and the really huge churches?
I've heard Blackhawks attendance is down quite a bit too. I don't know for truth, but I've heard their attendance is down quite a bit too, so I don't know either, for sure.
I also don't know how fruitful it is to really compare ourselves against other congregations. I mean, it's a nationwide trend, for sure. It's a nationwide trend. It's felt really especially in mainline Protestant churches, which we are. But at the same time, like I said, I don't know that that's necessarily the most fruitful path, is to compare ourselves against congregations. Because at the end of the day, God has a mission for each individual congregation, and it's not about whether or not we are doing better at meeting that individual mission than the other congregations are. It's about how well are we doing it for ourselves. Any other questions, comments? I mean, I will say, and I say this every time, and I mean it every single time. Yes, of course, as we just discussed, there are lots of other congregations that are going through this. But what I see that we have here is I see a lot of passion. I see a lot of really good, promising things. I see a lot of things that are vital, that are flourishing, that are bearing fruit. And I see that, you know, I don't think we are becoming irrelevant necessarily. I think that we have a lot of gifts that other congregations of our size don't have. We just have to make the best use of that, and we have to share the gift that we have here with other people. I mean, when was the last time any of you invited somebody to come to church? Last week. Excellent. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, unless we're all like in that habit of that, unless we are all standing so proudly and firmly in our Christian identity and how much it has changed and impacted our lives that we want to shout it from the rooftops and share this good news with every single person, I mean, it will take nothing less than that, and that's terrifying. Yeah, we're standing in a much better place this time, this November of this year than we were November of last year. A large part of that is because of the mortgage that we redid. And, you know, we as Lois mentioned, you know, so far the giving, the pledges that we've received are, yes, we're not quite at where we need to be, but we've got a few outstanding pledges. And so far, you know, tracking-wise, people are giving on par with where they had been giving, which I think is saying a lot because the economy has not been great, folks. So the fact that the majority of our members so far have chosen to continue their giving at the same rate or roughly the same rate as they were before says a lot about how much you love and prioritize this church and God's mission. So I think there are some really wonderful, positive, hopeful things to celebrate and to share. We just have to learn how to do it better. Or differently.
If we keep an open mind and we learn to accept new challenges, new thinking processes, stepping outside the box, not doing the same old thing just because, oh, it worked this way, let's do it again. There's a lot of that energy in this congregation. There really is. I think we just need to make it happen. Make it happen. Because we have it here. We really do. It's just taking all the ideas, let's open Pandora's box and let it go.
Hey, Pandora's box had hope in it, too. It was the last thing that came out, yeah. Any other comments or questions?
The thing that runs through my mind is how the word Christian has been kind of corrupted. That we need to be sure we distinguish ourselves as a truly Christian community. I don't know how we do it. We don't want to be overtly political, probably, but somehow that is a big issue. And I hope that we can keep that in our minds as to, can we address that? We're trying to demonstrate by the things that we do in the community. And I hope it's getting through, but that's just something more to think about.
Just a quick side note there about being overtly political, just FYI, so you know the rules. We can't, or I can't, and we can't from the pulpit endorse a particular candidate. Everything else is fair game. Everything else, including standing up for the basic human rights issues that are abundant in Scripture, is not only fair game, is not only something that we can do, but it is something that we must do. It is something that we are called to do by God, to stand up for the rights of our neighbors. And so if you want to call that political, I mean, I sure do, because at the root of the word political, it's just about people, politics, populace, city. So, any other? I was a little bit of a sidetrack there, but. Okay, wrap it up. All right, well.
I just want one last comment. Casey has been doing a wonderful job as president. You guys don't realize how much time she spends out there emailing and everything. I think she deserves a round of applause.
Thank you, Tom.
Well, thank you, everyone. It has been a pleasure for the second year in a row to serve as president. So this is my last one. Well, by our bylaws, I can't do it 2 years in a row as president. So I love it, Lois. All right. Yeah, they talk about change. Again, thank you, everyone. I really have enjoyed becoming part of this family. So, and continuing to be part of this family. Is there any other comments before I ask Pastor to close us in prayer?
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks as always for this opportunity to gather, to feel your presence in our midst, to discern the workings, the hummings of the Holy Spirit as she is calling us deeper and deeper, closer into community and stretching farther out into the world, a world that is hurting and reeling and needs so badly to know your love. So we ask that you continue to strengthen us, that you continue to guide us, that you continue to help us persevere and follow in your mission, follow your calling, now and forever. Amen. Thank you all.
both of us can't leave.
No, you need, yeah, okay. I think it's so important to
I know,
be there.
I know I would like to be, like I said. I just,
No, this is, no, life. I'm really glad that you told me. I think that if you are considering stepping into this role next year, it would just be great to
I know,
start.
that my problem is, I'm not as good as you on emails and stuff, but that's a very important part of this job.
But that's why